What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of STEM with Mr. C. That's right. Hey, today we're going to continue on with our math unit, right? We've been doing all sorts of math stuff. If you didn't catch last week's episode, we did the magic, I call them magic milk caps, right? Magic math squares. I use milk caps. Magic math squares. Well, we've done so much math I can't even remember. I'll put it up there if you didn't catch it. We've also done a ton of other ones. But today we're going to build some towers and learn the mathematics behind solving this centuries-old puzzle. That's right. So the name of this lesson is called the Tower of Hanoi. Hanoi being a city in the northern part of Vietnam. There's lots of other names associated with it, the Tower of Brahma or the Lucas Tower. So if we talk about the Lucas Tower, it was actually invented by a French mathematician named, if you say his name in English, it's Edouard Lucas. If you parle français, it's Edouard Lucas.
Oh, you think you fancy?
Yes. Thank you, 3 years of high school French. Yes. Anyway, he invented this in the 19th century, but really it's associated with this legend of a Hindu temple. Sometimes it's Vietnamese, hence the name Tower of Hanoi, where the puzzle was supposedly used to increase the mental discipline of young priests. So in this legend, these young priests were given 64 gold discs, like really big discs. And they were stacked neatly on one pole, and there was 3 poles, 1, 2, 3, and they're stacked neatly, all 64 gold discs. And their job was to move all 64 discs from here to the furthermost pole. Now here's the catch, right? Each of these 64 discs, the bottom one was the largest, and then it got smaller, so it looked like a little, like a tower or almost like a pyramid. And the catch is, we'll talk about the game, but you can only move one piece at a time, and you can never have a larger piece resting on top of a smaller disc. So it always has to be small disc on top of a large disc. Now, the legend goes, when the priests finally succeeded in transferring all of the discs, the world will end. Oh, hey, that's all right though, because if we use math, we can actually calculate that even if the priests found the most efficient way to solve the problem, and if they move the discs at a rate of 1 disc per second, that's pretty efficient. It would actually take them, 585 billion years to finish the job. Yeah, it's about 40 times the age of the universe. And then for if you don't know, the universe is 13.8 billion years. So if the legend is true, the universe will end the world will end in 585 billion years. So, hey, we got some time, more than enough time for me to take you through this build. All right, so what we're gonna do today is we're actually gonna build this game, right? It's a game, it's a puzzle game. We're gonna build it. We're gonna use cardboard. Now, for you aspiring engineers and you wanna make something really nice out of wood, I'm actually gonna have an extension that I'm gonna film, and you'll watch me build this. I'm gonna give you less instruction, and I'm really just gonna go through it, and we'll build our own wooden version. You can give it away as birthday presents, Christmas presents, Valentine's gifts, St. Patrick's Day gifts. You can even give one for Flag Day. People love to get gifts on Flag Day.
Right.
No, they really don't. I mean, you can, but hey, start a new tradition. Why not? Anyway, let's get to our materials before I get too far ahead of myself. So you're gonna need some cardboard, and one of the things we're gonna need here, I've got a large piece of cardboard, right? You're gonna measure this about 6 by 18 inches. So I'm gonna measure it out. I've already kind of roughly cut it. So this is gonna be your base. You need one long piece of cardboard for the base. You can really make it any length you want. I'm doing it this length just to show you why I chose this length. There's going to be another math thing why I did this. So one for the base. Put it over there. I was going to throw it, but I actually need it, so I'm going to put it right there. And then you're going to need like lots of cardboard, right? Because you're going to make your squares out of this. Now I know I said discs. It's a lot easier to measure and cut squares than it is to like draw a circle and cut it out perfectly. And really it doesn't affect the puzzle. It actually looks kind of cool, I think, to have squares. So we're gonna do that. So you just need a lot of them. I have 2 squares here, 2 circles here, and I have a Amazon, half of an Amazon box, so we're gonna use that. A marker, I do recommend a marker, so I've got one here. A pencil, always good to have a pencil. A ruler, you're gonna need a ruler. And then because we are measuring things a little bit longer than a foot, I do recommend a tape measure. Or you can grab a yardstick. I don't even know where you can get a yardstick. Hey Tony, where can they get a yardstick? Oh, Lowe's sells them. Lowe's and Home Depot apparently sell them. I guess they're like $1. They're $1? Oh, okay. So like $1 if you want to pick up a yardstick, they're like $1. Or you can just, measure this and then, like we're doing 18 inches, so 1.5 rulers, 12 inches, and then so you can do that if you want. That's fine. Scissors, definitely recommend scissors. I'm not gonna be using scissors. I'm gonna be using my handy dandy this thing here. I don't know, it's like a rotary cutter. Target sells them. They're really cool. They go through cardboard like a hot knife through butter. Really cool and very safe because I can't cut my finger, I push it in there. Don't push it in there. But it's safety, it's nice, not gonna cut your finger. A dowel I do recommend. Now if you don't have a dowel, you can also use some straws, 3 straws, because this is really just cardboard, so it doesn't really matter, but if you want it nice, a dowel is cool. And you need some sort of glue, so I've got my hot glue gun here. This is a very high temperature one, so what I have at home. But I recommend a low temperature one for you guys. And then some tape. Duct tape is always good to have. And really, that's all you need. Now, if you don't have any of these things, or you don't want to do any of these things, and you just want to play the game, I do have an online version. It's not my online version, but I'll put the website there, and I'll put it in the description as well. You can definitely play that. Okay. I think we're ready to go. I got everything here. I know it seems like a lot. Everything has a purpose here, so don't worry. Don't be overwhelmed by it, and let's get it going right now. Okay, here we are. So I've got my base out here. Now, the first thing we want to do is determine or figure out how many discs we really want to play with. The minimum is 3, and we're gonna make 5 squares, so really the maximum is 5, but you can actually make a lot more. I can make as much as 7, and there are some games that go like 8 and 9. The minimum is 3, that's the easiest one, and then it goes up in difficulty from there. So first off, I've got my base here, and let's go ahead and measure out. So we want this cardboard, I want mine to be 6 inches, 6 by 18 inches. So 6 inches tall, and 18 inches wide. So let's take our measuring tape. Okay, so I'm a little under 18, and that's fine. I mean, it'll work. It doesn't matter. I mean, as close as you can get to 18, that's fine. I'll tell you why I choose 18 in a minute. And then let's check the height. Okay, so I'm at, why am I using my tape measure? Using my tape measure just because I had it. Let's use the ruler since that's going to be a little easier. So this is 8 inches, right? I could leave it like this, but I'm going to trim it a little bit. So I'm just going to mark. Now, when you're trimming something like this, the easy thing to do is just mark one dot here and then draw a straight line. But if we want to make it straight, we're going to make several dots. And this is not only good for measuring, this is also great for graphing as well. So, making a line around 1 point is okay, 2 points is okay. But when you make one around 3, you're going to get a much straighter line. So I'm going to do a couple here. Perfect. Now I'm going to use my marker, and I'm just going to draw a straight line, and that's going to be my line where I cut. Okay, here we go. All right, perfect. Now, let's go ahead and I'm gonna get my cutter here, and let's go ahead and cut away. You see I kind of got off a little bit just because I'm doing it at an awkward angle, but I'm okay with that, that's fine. Cool. All right, now we need to divide this into thirds because we're gonna put 3 posts here. So the easy thing to do, we're just gonna divide this into thirds. So since I'm gonna round up and I have 18 inches, if I need to divide 18 into 3 equal parts, I need to divide 18 inches into 3 equal parts. What would that answer be? So basically it's 18 divided by 3 is, if you said 6, oh, you'd be correct. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark off 6 inches. I'm gonna do it up here. I'm gonna mark off 6 inches. I'm just gonna go up by 6s. 6. And then 6 plus 6 is 12. And there we go. Let's see, you said thirds. You only made two dots here, right? Well, because I'm gonna have thirds, right? 6 inches, 0 to 6, 6 to 12, 12 to 18. All right, pretty cool, right? So now, just go ahead and draw a line here. Now, the question of the day is gonna be, why do you think I chose, why do you think I chose 18, right? Now you can lightly draw a vertical line. I'm drawing it really dark just so you can see it, but you're gonna wanna draw it light, especially when we get into like the extension, we start using real wood. You can leave it like that, that's fine. Now obviously, yes, it's not perfect thirds. That one's good, this one good, that one's a little smaller. Remember, it's about 1/2 inch short. I'm fine with that. Okay, so there's our thirds. 0 to 6, 6 to 12, 12 to 18, perfect. Now we need to figure out where these poles are gonna go. And they're gonna go directly in the center, right? Now, again, more math here, right? We have to figure out what is the exact center of a 6 by 6 square. So basically I need to figure out what is 1/2 of 6 and what is 1/2 of 6, right? So 1/2 of 6, 6 divided by 2. That's right, if you said 3, you would be right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a little line here, just a little dot, right? I don't know if you can see that, just right there. That's my 3-inch mark. And now I'm gonna do the same on this line too. I'm gonna save myself some work, and I'm just gonna put this right here. And so that tells me that is the midpoint of the height and the midpoint of the length. Now, what I want to do, I'm going to lightly draw a straight line. I'm only going to draw one, I'm not concerned about it being straight. If you want to make it straight, make sure your ruler is lined up. And boom, there we go. Perfect. All right, so now we know that's my midpoint, right? That's my the center of this square. Let's do the same thing for the other squares. We're gonna measure, we've already done it here, right? We can just keep drawing that line all the way across, but we need to measure halfway point of 0 to 6. Remember, 6 inches, and then 6 inches. Let's do that now. All right. Now, you don't have to make it this dark, right? I'm doing this just to show you that that's how we calculate the center of each square, right? Math is useful, and we use it every single day. You can guess where it goes, but if we want this to look nice and professional, it definitely take the time to measure this out. Okay, so now we've marked this spot. I'm going to draw a little spot with my marker, and that's going to tell me that's the center point. And then now all we have to do, our dowel is going to go in here, right? Not just this one. It's going to go here, here, and here. So I could just let it sit on there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to just punch a hole through there. Lots of ways to do it. You can do it with scissors, or you can just take a sharp pencil and just poke a hole like that. Poke a hole just like that. All right, and then what you want to do, just take that dowel and just kind of push it through, right? Now, if that's not big enough, see, I didn't make the hole big enough, just go ahead and take your scissors and just gently, right? Like I showed you last one, you can use it kind of like a drill, just gently, don't force it in there. And you see my hand is not behind the hole, so I'm not gonna poke myself, okay? I've done that enough times to learn, don't put your hand behind that, okay? Just like that, perfect, and perfect, right? All right, so now we can test to see whether our dowel will fit in there. Perfect, perfect, one more, perfect. All right, so we're good with this. Now all we need, let's just go ahead and set this aside because we're done with the base for now. Okay, so let's go ahead and move the base over here. I'm gonna move it out of the way. I move my dowel, I don't need it yet. So now what we have to do is we have to get our other, these things out right here, okay? So what we're gonna do is we are going to make our tower pieces. So the distance between each post, right, we're going to look at it. We can measure up, so I was kidding, I'm going to bring it back. So the distance between each post is, from the post to the post, is 6 inches, right? So you can make your biggest disc however large you want. It doesn't really matter. If you want to fill up the whole thing, that's fine. But really, I want my largest disc to be about 4, you can do it about 4 inches. Yeah, I think 4 inches is a little big, right? So we're gonna do our discs about 3 inches, okay? So our largest disc is gonna be 3 inches. So 3 inches, and then this is where you determine what kind of, how many discs you want, okay? So we're gonna do our largest disc 3, and then we're gonna go from there 3, 2.5, 2, 1.5, 1, and then a half. So that'll give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 discs. Okay, up to you if you use all of them, but that's what we're going to go with right now. Okay, move that away. So now we said our disc is going to be 3 inches. So now we just need to draw a 3 inch by 3 inch square. So this is where it helps to have your straight line and use. When you're drawing, you don't want to use the whole big thing. If you're drawing your square, use as much of the cardboard as you can. So let's go ahead and measure. Perfect. So there's our first tower piece. So let's go ahead and cut that out. Boom, there's my first game piece, tower number 1. If you want, you can label it. You don't have to, but just to keep it separate, I'm just gonna put a 1 right there. All right, I'm gonna put that aside. Now we're going to lower our measurements by 1/2 inches. So this is 3 inches by 3 inches, pretty close to it. There you go, 3 inches by 3 inches. And then we're gonna do 2.5 by 2.5. 2 inches by 2 inches, 1.5 by 1.5, 1 by 1, and then 1/2 by 1/2, and then we'll be done. All right, I'm not going to record all that. You guys don't need to watch me cut cardboard. So when we come back, I'll have all my discs ready to go, and we will get cracking. All right, everybody. So I ignored the 1/2 inch block. That would just be really small. So I have 5 blocks here. Now again, these measurements and what I'm doing, you can pick whatever measurements you want. I'm just giving you a guide as to what to do here. Another thing you can do, which, because the cardboard, it's a little thin, right? So if you really want to make it, blockier, you could always take another piece of cardboard, measure it, and then stack up, 2 sets of cardboard like that. Obviously, I'd have to make it the same size. So you can do that. I'm not going to do that. You guys can do that. So that is the beauty of these STEM projects, is I give you the baseline of how to measure and what to do. If you want to take it and run with it and do something else, 100% you have my support. I mean, you guys already do that anyway. So keep doing what you're doing. All right, next thing we need to do, we need to figure out, well, one, we need to figure out what the centers of these are. Now, I'm going to tell you, we could spend some time measuring the exact center of every one of these by measuring and cutting in half. But we're going to do something I like to call eyeballing it, or guessing, right? So we're just going to look at it and go, for this one, that looks to be about the center, right? So I'm fine with that. Again, for you very critical thinkers and you want to measure it and get it perfect, 100%, right? You would just measure it wherever my ruler went. It's right there. All right, I would just measure this and I go, okay, well, half of 3 is 1.5. So then I would draw a line, and then 1.5, and I would draw my X, or my little cross, and then wherever the lines intersect would be my centerpiece. I'm gonna look at it and go, I'm reasonably sure that's my centerpiece. So you can draw it with a dot if you want. I'll do the same thing with my other ones. I'm reasonably sure that's the center. I'm reasonably sure that's the center. And you just kind of get a feel for it. That's actually pretty good. Same thing, just find the center and just estimate where you think the center is. Okay, when we make the wooden one, we're gonna measure it and make it look nice. Not that this doesn't look nice, but we're just kind of going through, I'm getting you a feel for what we need to do. Okay, next thing we're gonna do, remember, we're gonna punch holes in here. That's where the dowel is gonna go. So just punch a hole, just like that. And then do the rest of them. And then I'm going to take my scissors here and I'm just going to gently push this in, right? I don't want to make a huge hole, just like that. Perfect. Same thing. All right, and then I'm going to check to make sure the dowel goes in there. Now, if it's too tight, that's fine. You can always just throw the dowel through the tower block. If you want to make it a little bigger, you can always open that hole just a little bit, right? So it falls on the dowel nicely and you're not having to, fight it, okay? Up to you. I'm going to do that. Make that a little bigger so the dowel fits in there neatly. Beautiful. That's a little big. Beautiful. And then check it out. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Have our little tower. All right, beautiful. All right, next thing we need to do is we got to cut our wooden dowels. Now we can cut this into thirds, right? Because we need 3 separate dowels. So we measure how long the dowel is. It looks to be 12 inches. Ah, beautiful. And then we just have to cut it evenly into thirds, which means we need to divide 12 inches into thirds. And those of you that said, when am I ever going to use division? Right now you're going to use it. So let's go ahead. 12 divided by 3. I know no one says that. 12 divided by 3. Okay, so I need thirds. 12 inches divided equally into thirds would give me 4 inches. I heard someone say it, 4 inches. I don't know who said that. 4 inches. I'm just going to mark that. And then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And beautiful, I have my thirds. And now you're going to cut this, right? Now again, you can cut it with your scissors, right? If it's a thin dowel, this one's a pretty thin dowel, you can always just cut it. And the way to cut wood like this, it's not great for the scissors, but then just as you're cutting, see what I'm doing? I'm kind of spinning the dowel. So it's almost like a sawing motion. And that's a great way to cut little pieces of wood. And you just gotta go nice and slow. See, I'm already making that little divot in there. It's beautiful, right? So I'll keep doing that on one, and then I'll use my awesome mechanical tool for the other one, right? And just keep putting pressure. And whoa, that went far, didn't it? And there we go, right? Got a nice little, it's a little bit of an edge right there. It's not a big deal. If it bothers you, you can always take a little file or go outside on the sidewalk and just gently rub it, and then that will be even it out. So my next one, let's see how well this thing does. This thing will go through cardboard. It will go through some pretty thin wood. Let's see how it takes my my dowel here. Woo! Look at that. Beautiful. Man, that thing is worth its weight in gold. Okay. All right, let's get our base back here. Okay. Now again, you can decide, right? We made all of these measurements here. So if you don't want these measurements to be on your board, you can always just flip it over, right? Of course, I have that right there. You can just say that's like the serial number of your board. All right, so what we want to do here, determine where you're sent, which side you're going to use, right? So just for this sake, just to show you the measurements here, I'm going to use this as my top. You can always just flip it over, okay? So this is my top, and then bottom, right? So one more time, let's make sure our game board holes are nice and even. So you see I'm just double checking it. Beautiful. All right, top and then bottom. So what you want to do now is go ahead and take a strip of duct tape, right? I'm gonna get my duct tape out here. Duct tape. You make a long strip and you're gonna cover the bottom of the board because that's basically where our dowels are gonna sit in. But we're going to put a little bit of glue in there first before we put the dowels in. So go ahead and take your strip of duct tape. About perfect. That's good. All right. Go ahead and cut it. And I'm just going to set it right here. Beautiful. Beautiful. Look at that. Oh. So now I have my holes here, but there's duct tape in there, right? So I can just put the dowel in there. It's not going to stick for very long, right? So what I want to do is I'm going to put a dab of glue. You can put as much or as little as you want. I would recommend, again, a little bit goes a long way. You don't want to have a huge pile of glue here because then the towers aren't going to sit very well. So a little bit of glue. Oh, beautiful. And this is really hot, so I can like wait a minute. This is like really hot glue. So I've been burned enough times by really hot glue. It's not a fun feeling. So here's a safety tip. If that ever does happen, just run it under cold water. What's going to happen is the glue will instantly solidify because it's cold water. It'll still hurt a little bit, but it'll hurt a lot less than if you just let it sit there and run around screaming. Don't be like Mr. C and don't run around screaming. All right, don't do that. Okay, I'm just going to stick it on there and then do the same thing with your other dowels here. Okay, perfect. And now what you can also do, if you really want to give it some stability, so the duct tape helps, but then you can also put a little bit of glue around the base. All right, it's not going to hurt it. Okay, and this is where having that low temperature glue really does help. Because it will dry a lot quicker. I just have to let this dry. You can also blow on the glue to make it dry faster, but it doesn't dry that fast. All right, and that's just making sure, like if I'm gonna be playing this for a while, that's like a lot of glue. It's fine. If you do have too much glue, like, oh, look at Mr. C, I did like way too much. That's okay. Just take a piece of cardboard and just kind of smooth it out a little bit, right? It happens, right? Sometimes these glue guns get a little touchy, and you can always just smooth it out, just like that. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. And there we go. All right, now let's check and see if our pieces fit on there. Let's let this glue dry, but our pieces will fit on here very nicely. Let's check this one. This one's already dry. So we have one. And yeah, see, it's a little uneven, and it doesn't really matter. Again, this is just your first game build here. 2. And I want to make that a little bit so it's a little wonky. I don't like it. Let's put it on there. Boom. And then that one's a little wonky as well. So sometimes when you punch a hole here, and you'll see that has the this stuff right here, that little we call them hanging chads. It's a fun term there. Hanging chad, right? You can just smooth it down, or you can cut it off. And let's see if that works. And again, I still don't like it, so I'm going to widen that out just a little bit. And there we go. And boom. So there's our tower, right? And when we come back, we're going to start playing this game, and I'm going to show you all about how to play the Tower of Hanoi. So if you're done with your build, great. If you're not, keep at it. But man, that looks pretty good. That's not bad. All right, here we go. Coming back to you in 5, 4, 3, 2. All right, what's up, everybody? Hey, thanks for sticking with me. So it looks like everything works together really well. The dowels are in there, the glue is dried. You know, and one thing you can do, right? So here's your tower, the Tower of Hanoi. And again, I would recommend, this is just a quick way to show you how this works and how the tower should look. You know, so you've got largest, next largest, or largest, and then it goes, next largest, and you know what I mean. So yeah, you could definitely make these a little thicker if you want. So if you ever look at these at a toy store, if you've seen it before, the blocks are pretty thick. But hey, this is a real quick way to kind of get you in the game. All right, so, and I'm gonna start off with 3 blocks, right? So you can start off with as many as you want. And I'm actually going to, I'll leave it like that, 3 blocks. So remember the rules of the game, and I haven't really gone over the rules. I touched on them briefly, so let's talk about it, right? Okay. Only one block or disc can be moved at one time. So you can only move your top block one time, and you can move it wherever you want, right? Doesn't matter, you can move it over here, you can move it over here, it doesn't matter, okay? So rule number 1, only one disc can be moved at one time. Okay. Each move consists of taking the upper disc from one of the stacks and placing it on top of another stack or on an empty rod, right? So one of my moves could be this, okay? Now, rule number 3, you cannot place a larger disc on top of a smaller disc. So that's no good, right? I can't do that. So I would have to do something like this, okay? So that's your 3 rules. So we're gonna stick it back here. And so the object of the game is to get this tower over to this post and make it look exactly like that. All right, so you have to, obviously, and I'm not going to show you the solution, right? In my extension, I'll show you, there's actually, again, an algebra formula for figuring out the optimal number of moves. Optimal, meaning the most efficient, the least number of moves to win the game. Okay, so I'm not going to solve this for you, but I'm going to show you some different things that you can do. And so, like we did with the other games, right? The magic squares with 2048. Just move. Don't worry about the solution. Okay, right now, I don't even want you thinking about how to solve it. I just want you looking at it and getting a feel for moving blocks around. Okay. So now I have all 3 blocks spread out. Now remember, I can't move a large block on top of a small block. Okay, I can't do that. That's no good. Okay, so, what would be my next move? Well, I could always put the small block on top of this, so that's okay. If I really wanted to, I could move it here, although that doesn't really do anything for me. But just so long as a smaller block is on top of a larger block, totally fine. Okay, so I can do that. And then I can move my large block over there. So it looks like we're getting close. And I'm really close to solving this, so I'm not going to do the rest of it. Okay? Hint, hint, I'm really close to solving it. Okay? Another question you're going to see is, does it matter if you start off on the left or the right? I mean, this is my left, this is my right, so I mean, you could always do it this way, as long as it's just from one end to another, right? Traditionally, it starts from left to right. Okay, you're going to find, so the minimum number of squares to use is 3, okay? If you add 5, right, or even if you add 4, okay, now it gets a little more complex, because now there's always going to be one column that has 2 squares on it, right? So you can start off like this. So like I said, just get a feel. See, and now I'm kind of stuck, right? I can't really move anything over unless I do this, and then do this, right? And just start playing around with it, right? And I don't care if it takes you 400 moves, hopefully not that many, to get it to work, right? It doesn't really matter if it's the optimal number. Step 1, just move the blocks around, making sure you keep the 3 rules in mind, okay? So from here, I could always move, go to here, okay? Still doesn't really do anything for me, and I'm really just kind of stuck, right? So you can always just start over, right? And that's gonna happen from time to time. You may have to just start over, and you go, okay. And then remember, trial and error, right? It's almost like these lessons build on themselves. That's weird. It's almost like, the lessons we began with trial and error kind of end up with our games here. And that's really, there's my, I only wanted to do 4. And that's really the key to a lot of these puzzles the first time you see them, right? Now, if you can look at it and go, oh, there's the solution, well, fantastic. But a lot of us can't. I can't, right? So puzzles like these take me a minute, and I go, okay, well, what am I gonna do? Maybe move this, and I'll do a couple moves here, and then move this, okay, now what? Now it doesn't really help me, so now, maybe this, move this over, oh, see, now and so you're gonna come into this where sometimes, you can put a smaller one on top of, like the smallest one on top of the largest one. You can totally do that if you need to do that, right? See now, oh, there we go. Now we're cooking, right? Now we're cooking with gas. Getting that base over here, that's going to be one of your keys. Once you get that base on that furthest post, then you're really working with something, right? And then you're like, oh, that's so clear. And then you just, can do something like this, and then this, and I'm not going to do the rest because then that would give you the answer. I better hurry so you guys don't take a note, although you guys can always pause it. Like I'm hurrying, like you're not going to pause it. But again, right, that is the key right there, is trial and error. Just start moving stuff around. Okay, I like to say movement creates emotion, right? Just start moving stuff, right? Make sure you stay with the rules, but just start moving stuff, and the solution will present itself, right? And you're gonna look at it and you're gonna go, aha. Obviously, once you mastered 3, go to 4. Once you mastered 4, go to 5. Once you mastered 5, then it's time to cut out some more cardboard spaces, maybe make some bigger squares, and then challenge yourself with 6, 7, 8, right? I would not recommend, 64 golden discs. I would not recommend doing 64 of them. That's going to take you a while. And I can actually show you in the next video where we're actually going to use real wood. I'm going to show you how to make a really nice Tower of Hanoi, or the Brahma Tower, or Lucas's Tower, whatever you want to call it. It'll be really nice. I'm going to skip a lot of these steps because I'm going to push you guys and do some of these engineering concepts. Again, this is real basic, right? So take what I've done here, improve it, make it look good, make it look more functional, make it more functional, make the squares thicker. You don't want to use squares, you want to use triangles, use triangles. You want to use hexagons, use hexagons, right? Use whatever you want. This is just what I start off with, right? This is to show you, here's the first page in the book. Now write your own book and create your own game using whatever you want to use. You don't want to use dowels, don't use dowels. Don't want to use cardboard, don't use cardboard, right? Use what you want, but real basic stuff here. Take it from here and run with it. All right, man, this is like a long video, but again, I'm taking you through like building a game from scratch, which is really cool. And you guys can do this with any game. All you need is like cardboard, wooden dowels, some glue, don't forget duct tape, and scissors, right? Cool. All right, I hope you enjoyed this. The next video we're gonna make the nice one, and we'll use some real tools. I'll show you guys some ways to make your own tools. And that'll be coming up shortly. Stay tuned for that. But for now, hey, have fun playing with the Tower of Hanoi, or whatever you like to call it, the Brahma Tower, Lucas's Tower, whatever you'd like. And I always say, right, it's important to learn, it's important to apply these concepts, but I really want you to have fun, right? I found I learn the most when I'm having fun, and right now I'm having a blast. So I learn something every time I redo one of these experiments. I've done them a lot. Every time I do one, I learn more every time. So I want you guys to as well. All right, enough talking. I'm gonna go work on my good Tower of Hanoi.